Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio's The Incoherent Ramblings of C&E. Christopher and Eric are your hosts, coming to you live from Greensboro, North Carolina, as we do every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our intro music is provided from the Podshow PodSafe Music Network. Check it out at music.podshow.com. Also, feel free to email your topics for discussion, suggestions, and comments to incoherentramblings@live.com.
And this is Christopher. It is May the 13th, 2010, and I am coming to you live from the internationally famous C&E studios, Greensboro, North Carolina. Hope you're doing well tonight. I am by myself. Eric will not be with me, so tonight we are temporarily changing the name to the Incoherent Ramblings of C. That's me, Christopher. If you would like to call in, you can do so by calling at 1-646-716-6928. And you can also go to blogtalkradio.com/Incoherent Ramblings, where you can find out more about our show there, see past shows, see upcoming future shows when they are when they're scheduled. You can, I believe, you can stream, listen to some shows there. You can click to talk if you have a microphone and speakers on your PC and call us that way without having to use a landline. You can find out information about our Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter accounts. Feel free to send us a friend request if you want. And you can also go to iTunes, go to the iTunes store, do a search for Incoherent Ramblings, find our show, and subscribe to it. Then you don't have to worry about going to a website and listening to it from Facebook or trying to download the file and copy it over to your MP3 player. Excuse me. You can just go in and subscribe to our channel, and every time there's an update, it will automatically download it for you. So there we are. We are technologically advanced. We have many ways with which you can connect to us. So I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Eric, as our loyal listeners know from last week's show, Eric was going to Dallas. I think he left Sunday and got back Wednesday evening. That has got him a little behind in his work. He is very, very, very busy, and some of those things are getting an actual house under contract, and he was working with the people even probably at this very moment. That's why he was unable to make it tonight. So we certainly understand. Maybe I should look into, as executive producer of the show, maybe I should look into getting him a raise so he can quit his day job, right? So you're just stuck with me tonight, and we're going to make the best of it. I guess we could start out with a few updates about me. See, where do we start? Our loyal listeners know I announced a few weeks ago that I was indeed engaged to be married, and our wedding date was May the 1st, so that time has obviously come and gone. So I am now married. Beautiful young lady named Lauren, who is 28 years old, absolutely gorgeous, and makes me very happy and treats me with respect and love. and I am very happy to have her as my wife and to call her my wife. A little bit more updated news. I think our listeners know that I have actually been playing softball, and I sustained an injury Friday night, and now I am out for the season. Of course, the season's last game is tomorrow night, and then it will be just the playoffs. So it was late in the season, but I pretty banged up and still hurting. So basically, if you're curious, I'm gonna let you know. If you're not curious, I'm sorry. I'll have to do it anyhow. Basically, what happened? Several games, several weeks before, but actually the first game of the season, I pulled one of the inside muscle of my right quadricep. Nothing overly serious. It hurt. I could still run, but it was very tender and sore. When I got home, I immediately began icing it. Ice on 20 minutes, off 10 minutes. I did that for about an hour and a half. Then I went and took a shower. I took some ibuprofen. Then I went and took a shower. Then I came back down, and I kept icing it 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off until I went to bed. Continued to take ibuprofen again before bedtime, and then the next day I iced again in ibuprofen. And then by Sunday it was feeling better, and then I resorted to some heat. And I have not had any problems from that since. A couple weeks ago, I kind of had a slight pull in my right calf. Didn't really think much of it. I mean, ran it out, got out to the outfield, was moving fine, ran the bases fine, was not in a lot of pain. Came home, same thing, ice, ibuprofen. Weeks go by, I haven't even given it a second thought. So fast forward to last Friday night, I'm running from first to second base, and I feel a little bit of a pull. Didn't feel great, but whatever, I stayed on base. Then I ran from second base to third base and felt more of a pull, and it was quite sore. And I was looking to see if there was someone that could replace me in the game, and the only person available at that time was actually, I think, at the bathroom or talking with someone, and I just said, I'll just go ahead and go out in the outfield. So I go in the outfield, and I didn't have any action out there, thankfully. And actually, I think one ball was hit to me, but I was able to field that and get it to the infield in time. Went back in the dugout. The batting order was quite away from me, so I just kind of stayed there and stretched. I did not get up to bat again, and went back out to the infield and felt a lot better. It was kind of sore to run on, but it didn't hurt really bad, so I didn't think much of it. Come back in, I'm up to bat. I hit the ball hard, but I got on top of it, so it was a grounder, hard to shortstop, and I was determined to make it on base. So about a third of the way to first base, I heard and felt a pop, and it hurt. About 2/3 of the way to first base, I felt and heard two more pops, and after those two pops, I felt excruciating pain, at which point I screamed. Somehow, some way, I don't know how it happened, I still got to first base before being thrown out. That's not because I'm fast. For those of you that know me personally, I'm 6'6", about 260 pounds. I'm not fast at all. But I was determined to make it to base. I was talking with an older gentleman before I went to the hospital, and he said, you should just fell to the ground and not worried about it. And so I was already injured. I didn't, injure myself to get on base. I was already injured. Then I figured, it'd be kind of a shame not to get on base by this point. So somehow, like I said, I was able to maneuver my way to first base safely. And I'm glad I did, because the person that took my place running on first base actually scored a run that inning. So because of my hustle, we were able to score. So I just kind of hung out by the fence because I realized I wasn't able to walk on my leg, and held to the fence and balanced myself on my left leg. When the inning was over, I kind of hobbled off the field, and my wife, Lauren, met me, and I held to the fence with my right hand and put my arm around her shoulders with my left hand, and she helped me over to the bleachers. At which point the coach's wife came over and looked at my legs, says, "You need to go to the hospital." And I said, "No, I don't." She goes, "Yes, you do." She goes, "First of all, you can't walk on it, so that's kind of evident you have a serious problem." She goes, "But already it's considerably swollen, and there was a bulge right here." And she pointed at it. I was like, "Oh, it's fine." And then she barely touches it, at which point I thought I was going to throw up. And then I realized, yeah, I'm in quite a bit of pain here. So I decided to, I guess I would try not to be so hard-headed. Lauren went, got the car, backed up to the bleachers, literally 5-6 feet from the bleachers. I stand up and immediately fall back down to the bleachers because I could not put my weight on it at all. That's how bad the pain was. At which point, one of the teams that were waiting to play, a couple of guys were close to us. Lauren asked if they would help me. They were big guys. They were able to help me to my car without putting any, actually, putting any more weight on it. So I go to the hospital. They give me some pain medicine. They give me a muscle relaxer. They've got ice on it. They want to get an x-ray. Of course, x-ray doesn't do anything for muscle. That just checks your bone. But she said with this particular, first of all, they were hoping it was not an Achilles tendon tear, which thankfully turns out it was not. She says a lot of times with a tear in this particular muscle, in this particular area, a lot of times what happens is it will actually pull bone away with the muscle when it tears. And if that's the case, they would need to get in there and do some kind of a surgery to get that fixed. So, took some x-rays, said the x-rays came back negative, so that was good news. Told me I needed to get an MRI and see an orthopedic surgeon on Monday. So I spent the weekend in my recliner taking muscle relaxers and pain medicine in and out of sleep, just trying to rest as much as possible. I went to the doctor Monday, and he didn't want to do an MRI. He said he could figure it out just by giving me an exam. And I trust this man because he's the same man that examined my back and gave me the exact same details from an MRI that I had that he had not seen yet, just by examining me. So he's very competent, and I have faith in him. So he had me lay down. He did some poking at the muscle and checking it out. And he said he had 3 concerns. One, being that the bone was not torn away when the muscle tore. 2, that it was not the Achilles tendon. And 3, that I had good blood flow. Number 1 was alleviated by the ER doctor and the x-rays, and he had access to those x-rays and looked at them and concurred that there was no bone damage. So that alleviated number 1. Number 2, it was not the Achilles tendon. Where the injury was and where the soreness was indicative of the actual calf muscle. And number 3, I had good blood flow. How he could tell that, I honestly do not know. Nonetheless, that's what his diagnosis was. So he said that no surgery was needed, which that was a relief. And not only was no surgery needed, but he said it would heal up on its own if I just stayed off of it. He said he could not tell me how long it was going to take, but that it would heal up on its own. So there we are. Ever since then, I've been on crutches, no weight on my right leg, Have to depend a lot on Lauren, and she's been an absolute angel, waiting on me hand and foot. And I praise her and give her constant verbal affirmation for the hard work she's doing there, and I really do appreciate it. So I know I took up a lot of time, but I know a lot of our listeners actually have heard about my accident, and the ones that have not, I know would be concerned as well. So I just wanted to take some time to give everybody an update on what has happened. That's 15 minutes of the show, but Eric's not here with his charming stories, so I had to do something to fill the time, right? So let's see what we have here today. Let's see. We always try to start with some good stories, as you know, before we get on to, well, I don't know, the weird, strange, dark humor stories. And we have had on this show quite some time. We have quite a bit about the lady that got attacked by this Travis the Chimp. And each time that story is revisited by the media, we revisit it here. To give myself a break from talking and to get me some liquids and a few yawns, I'm going to go ahead and play the unofficial, official sponsor of the show, Hover Round.
Hey, Bernice and Joy, tell everyone which power wheelchair got you to the Grand Canyon.
Hover round. No one's free to see the world.
With a Hover Round, you truly are free to see the world. Hover Round's award-winning compact round design makes it the most maneuverable power chair in the world. And because it's portable enough to easily fit in a car trunk and powerful enough to pull a 2-ton van, Hover Round gives you the freedom to go almost anywhere, even the Grand Canyon. Find out if a Hover Round is right for you. Call one of our friendly mobility specialists for a free evaluation and free Hover Round video. Hover Round's licensed nurses will work with you to determine if you qualify for Medicare, VA, or other insurance. With Medicare and a supplement, owning a Hover Round could cost you little or no money out of pocket. So call now. Declare your freedom to see the world in a Hover Round.
There we go. That is the unofficial, official corporate sponsor of the Incoherent Ramblings of C&E, Hover Round. If you need a mobility scooter, go check them out. Okay, what is going on in the world? A lot of things. Travis the Chimp. It's a sad story. It really is. Fans of the show know that I love monkeys of all kinds. And this is truly a sad thing because we have to keep in mind, love him or not, Travis the Chimp was a wild animal. And he kind of lost control and attacked his owner's friend. It's a horrible, horrible occurrence. She's Charlotte Nash has moved to assisted living. She's blind and still considerably disfigured, but she has improved noticeably since she's unveiled herself on Oprah Winfrey's show 6 months ago. Through surgery, she has a nose and a more natural contour to her mouth. She takes it day by day, she says. Obviously, that's all she can do. Her doctors say she still can't chew food, but is able to drink liquid nourishment through a straw. Known to her friends and family as Charlie, Nash lost her eyesight, her fingers, and much of her face when she was attacked in February 2009 by Travis, a 200-pound male chimpanzee owned by her friend, Sandra Harold. Transcript of 911 call Harold made is chilling. He's killing my friend. Who's killing your friend? My chimpanzee. He ripped her apart. Hurry up, please. The policeman who responded to the call first didn't even recognize Charlie Nash as human. And then when he got closer, he couldn't tell if she was a male or a female because the injuries were so horrible. Doctors were frankly astonished that she even survived at all. A CAT scan taken of her face after the attack revealed the underlying bone structure was shattered like a dropped mirror. Now she's looking into the possibility of getting hand and face replacements. Unable to see and with little left of her hands, she needs constant assistance. She walks well and enjoys getting outdoors. Basically, I'm going with this story because it's got a sad beginning. It is a tale of survival, someone who is determined to make it. Not sure of how she does. She even says that, there's some higher power, some power out there somewhere that's giving her the ability to carry on. Because, she, according to the doctor, should not have survived this ordeal. Yet, not only has she survived it, but she is somehow persevering. So, to Charlie Nash, so the horrible thing that happened, I hate that it was a monkey. It's a sad thing, but she is making the best of it, and she is moving forward as best she can. So, to Charlie Nash, I applaud your ability to keep a positive outlook on life and the perseverance that it has taken to make it through this ordeal. And I wish you the best. Let's see. I'll go into my Heroes and Angels page, which is still not updated. It's the same nonsense that it's had for the past couple weeks. So we'll move on from it. And we'll go on to Wonderful World of News. This has a few updated stories. So here's a story about a butler that was the benefactor of a fortune. The beloved butler for a prominent New York family who grew up in a mud hut in Nepal has joined the city's elite by inheriting more than $8 million, including 2 units at the legendary Dakota apartment building off Central Park. Indra B. Tamang had served as a butler, cook, and caretaker to Ruth Ford, a stage and screen actress, and her husband Zachary Scott, a Hollywood star, for more than 3 decades. When Ruth Ford died last year at the age of 98, she left her entire fortune to Tamang, including the Dakota apartments and an art collection with works by Russian surrealists. She specifically disinherited her daughter, Shelley Scott, and her 2 grandchildren in favor of the Nepalese employee, but did not give a reason. The value of the estate is about $8.4 million, according to court records. The daughter contested the move and eventually received a modest settlement, according to the paper. However, the 57-year-old Tamang, who lives in Queens with his wife and children, kept the apartments. Tamang is now selling the larger of the 2 apartments at the Dakota, a 3-bedroom, for $4.5 million. With the help of Ford, Tamang became a U.S. citizen last year, more than 20 years after first applying for citizenship. So, here's a story of a man from humble beginnings, literally living in a mud hut, coming to America for the American dream. And it proves that if you work hard and if you're loyal, that you will succeed. I'm not saying you'll become a multi-millionaire and that the person you work for will leave you all their money. What I'm saying is, if you work hard and you're honest and you're a good employee, things will eventually work out well for you. I truly believe that. So it's kind of a neat story. I really don't know why this lady, this Ruth Ford, disinherited her child. I don't know if there was some unfortunate circumstances there that are unbeknownst to us. And that is kind of a shame. But I guess it's also kind of neat that she felt close enough to her servant, basically, I'm not trying to be rude, but to her servant, that she left her entire fortune. And I think that speaks well of Ruth Ford, be willing to do that, and also speaks well of her servant. The quality of service that he provided all those many years for the Fords, for his employees, I think it speaks very well of him that they would think well enough of him to leave their fortune to him. Well, New Jersey has a tent city, and here is a good thing. It's closing up. Camden, New Jersey, a tent city built by the homeless next to a highway exit was disbanded abruptly Thursday as quick-moving and well-off benefactors took some 50 residents off on a bus with a promise of free housing and other services for a year. The first stop was pampering. The people who lived in the encampment, in Camden, one of the nation's poorest cities, were getting a night stay at an upscale hotel in suburban Mount Laurel. They were getting a dip in a pool, manicures, fresh clothes, and a new start. The last day of Tent City, also known as Transitional Park, came 3 weeks after a deadline to close the place came and went. Many of the residents, some who have lived there for as long as 3 years, wanted to live under roofs, but they didn't want to be shoved around by the government. County government and a cadre of social service agencies, meanwhile, could not find places for all of them by the April 15th deadline. But then, change came quickly. It began last week when Amir Khan's son showed him some video shot at the self-governing settlement, hidden on public land between train tracks and a highway exit. Khan is the son of a doctor who worked for decades in Camden. He's also a wealthy entrepreneur, currently president of NextGen Wireless, pastor of a church in the suburbs, and founder of the Nehemiah Group, a nonprofit devoted to helping prisoners reintegrate into society. Khan said he couldn't sleep for days after he saw the conditions in a place so close to home. We said, how dare we live in the lap of luxury and have this in our backyard? While the people who stayed in Tent City were proud of how they built a sense of community, shared their meals, and lived by a set of rules they posted on boards nailed to a tree, the place had troubles. No running waters, no bathroom. The fire extinguishers attached to some trees are an adequate defense against open fires, and the population had surged to about 100. On Sunday, members of Khan's congregation, the Solid Rock Worship Center in Lindenwold, pledged $25,000 to help. The next day, he visited the encampment for the first time. Its founder and acknowledged mayor, Lorenzo Jamaica Banks, said his people would leave if they knew they could have free housing for a year. By Thursday, Khan and his group had worked out the details. They raised at least $250,000. After the night in the hotel, the homeless would move to a Nehemiah Center facility in Bridgeton, where they could stay for 21 days and have their needs assessed. Couples would have to live separately. After that, they would occupy several rented homes and condominiums in and around Camden. The social service agencies that assisted them in Tent City would keep helping, so would job training and drug treatment programs. Even as they knocked down their tents and sorted out their possessions, residents were skeptical. In the morning, 31-year-old Jason Strom worried about the next 48 hours. For Strom, a heroin addict for half his life, and others with drug problems, medical detoxification was to begin Saturday. With no access to drugs, he was worried that people were going to be sick during the hotel stay. And as others shuffled onto a tour bus at midday, he and his wife, Jessica Cron, still hadn't managed to sift through everything they kept in the tent that has been home for the past year or so. If I came to their home and said, pack up and come with me, how would they feel, he asked. Before he got on the bus with his laptop computer, James Boggs, one of the top officials in Tent City's governing structure, seemed amazed that the help he always wanted to line up had arrived, and he wondered whether it was real. Where were they before, he said. Is this a backdoor way to get us to leave because they couldn't do it any other way? But Hal Miller, a homeless outreach coordinator for Volunteers of America of the Delaware Valley, said all the residents had agreed to join the Nehemiah Group's rescue effort. So residents and volunteers alike spent the morning carting away their possessions at wheelbarrows, shopping carts, and wheelchairs. Tom Lind, a doctor who brought his family with him to hand out sandwiches and medical equipment for diabetics, took the rolls off a tree. They were destined for the walls of his living room in Sewell. Robbins found a fresh source of food as they poked in a flattened mud where tents had set. And around 1:30 p.m., Banks hopped in Con's Cadillac Escalade and stood up with his head through the sunroof. A few minutes, the busload of tent refugees followed. About that time, another homeless man took an abandoned shopping cart. He made his way across Federal Street with it and pushed to a place where he's living, a single tent less than a block from the tent city. So there's a pretty good story about an individual who's wealthy and has the means to a large number of people making a large number of donations, has taken the residents of this tent city of homeless people and going to put them up for 1 year for free. That's pretty amazing. I think personally, that's a pretty amazing story. So kudos to Mr. Khan and the people that have rallied around him to support him financially and making a difference, even though there's thousands upon thousands of homeless people making a difference for these people. They are in their own backyard. That's all the actual good news stories I have for this week. I have some listener submitted stories that I'm going to go with, and then some weird, odd stories that we usually finish to show up with. This is from the city of Buffalo. This is not a political statement whatsoever. This is an AP article. I'm just reading it as it is. A group of people who are unemployed have decided to create an agency called I Need a Freaking Job. They are in Buffalo, Western New York, and they have a billboard. It says, "Dear Mr. President, I need a freaking job, period, sincerely. I need a freaking job.org. Frustrated Western New Yorkers have a pointed message for Barack Obama when he visits the economically troubled region Thursday. I need a freaking job. The president makes another stop on what the White House calls his Main Street economic tour, this time to Buffalo, New York, the anchor city in a region that was hard hit long before a recession that made things even worse. Awaiting him will be a billboard carrying a simple, direct message. Dear Mr. President, I need a freaking job, period. This sign is a part of a media campaign called INAFJA Project, which was organized by Buffalo businessman Jeff Baker. Baker lost his own small business 15 months ago. We employed 25 people, and it was the most heartbreaking situation I've been through in my life, says Baker. The billboard ad, along with a video posted on YouTube, features college students. Mr. Obama will tout his efforts to get the economy moving again, including the 297,000 jobs created in April, the fourth straight month of growth. But the unemployment rate remains high at 9.9%. Baker says nothing else matters unless the American people are working. So there's a lot of people that like President Obama and think he's doing a spectacular job, but it's not just conservative people and conservative groups that are beginning to come up against him. It's people of all political stances that are seeing that he isn't exactly the most honest person and that the economy is not doing that well right now. That was a listener-submitted story, and it comes to us from some quite angry young people in Buffalo, New York. Let's see. I believe I have another listener-submitted story. I have some listener-submitted commentary that if we have time, we will actually get to towards the end of the show. Listener submitted. We like our listeners, and we like when they submit content to us for our show here. Let's get to some weird news, because there's definitely some weird people out there. You know, a lot of times people will talk about, they'll talk about a robbery or a lady being attacked, an older man being pushed over, and people will say, well, if I were there, I would have done X, Y, and Z. Hey, I've said it too. It's really easy to put ourselves in these shoes, in someone else's shoes, but if we were actually in that ordeal, will we think quick enough to actually make a difference? Well, here's someone who did, and I like their style. This comes to us from Carmel Church, Virginia. A customer who bashed a gun-wielding man on the head with 2 beer bottles foiled a robbery at a truck stop off of I-95. Sheriff officials said the would-be robber brandished a gun at the clerk Saturday night at Mr. Fuel and demanded money. They pointed the weapon at several customers. One customer walked to the rear of the store, got 2 beer bottles, and struck the suspect in the back of the head. The customer struggled with the gunman, who in turn shot him several times. The customer didn't suffer life-threatening injuries. Sheriff officials say the gunman hasn't been arrested. A telephone message left for the general manager of Mr. Fuel has not been returned. There's actually some video that was caught on the security surveillance that I will watch later. Obviously, this being a talk show wouldn't do us much good here. Nonetheless, I like this guy's style. There's someone in there with a gun, placing the clerk and other customers in a potentially lethal situation. This guy's just not going to stand around and put up with this nonsense. He goes back, gets a beer bottle, bashes the guy over the head with it. Unfortunately, he didn't hit him hard enough to knock him out, knock him unconscious, and he had to get shot. Fortunately, he did not sustain life-threatening injuries, so that's a good thing. But I would like to say that I would do something like this. I have not received any kind of law or military training whatsoever, but a lot of people think I have, because when I go to restaurants, I don't like to sit with my back to the door. I like to be sitting where I can see the door. When I'm walking, both in my neighborhood or in a park or downtown or anywhere, I'm constantly surveying my surroundings. I'm constantly checking out people that are in my surroundings, and I keep a mental check of my surroundings so that if anything were to come up, I would feel that I would be better prepared to handle the situation. Maybe I wouldn't be. But if I were in a situation, now I would not put myself in a position where I could, potentially get killed on purpose. But if you're in a situation where you're in a store and someone's got a gun, and you don't know what this maniac is going to do, they could try to kill you, they may not, who knows? But you're already in a situation where you could potentially be shot. I would like to think that I would try to do something, make a distraction to where, me or someone else would be able to try to apprehend or knock down the gunman, go back and get a beer bottle and throw it at the guy. If you could get close enough to the guy to, maybe tackle him to the ground or bash him over the head with a beer bottle or something, I would like to think that I would do that. Maybe I wouldn't. But here's a person who actually made an attempt. And I hope, it doesn't say anything about it, but I hope to God he isn't brought up on some kind of criminal charges of, assault for these actions, because while I know we can't take the law into our own hands, when we're put into a situation that could be, where we could potentially be shot in a potentially fatal situation, I don't have any problems whatsoever with what this guy did. I commend him for his actions, and I hope the law will be on his side. Let's see here. We have there's a story. It comes to us from Odessa, Texas. A lot of guys dream about going back to high school and recapturing their athletic glory days. A man who went by the name Jerry Joseph did it, and now he's in big trouble. Authorities say the boyish-looking 22-year-old posed as a 16-year-old sophomore phenom to lead the Permian High School basketball team to the state playoffs. He was jailed on fraud charges, and the rabidly competitive West Texas high school that inspired the movie Friday Night Lights may have to forfeit its season. Everyone thought he was just a big guy, says a senior football player. He played the part good, skipping down to the hallways, acting like a goofy 16-year-old. Pipes and some teammates approached the 6'5" player they knew as Joseph soon after he enrolled last year, asking him if he wanted to play football. Pipes said, "Oh, wait a second, I thought it said basketball up here." Yeah, basketball team, okay. Asked if he wanted to play football. Pipes said Joseph, who was attending junior high at the time, declined. He liked basketball instead, and he was good enough to average about 20 points per game over the final 9 games heading into the playoffs. Joseph was a starter and played center and forward, but suspicions about the player's identity first arose when 3 Florida basketball coaches familiar with a former player named Gerdwich Montemere recognized him last month at an amateur tournament in Little Rock, Arkansas. Montemere, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, graduated from Dillard High School in Fort Lauderdale in 2007. School officials and immigration authorities initially believed Joseph when he denied the allegations and let him remain enrolled. But school police and immigration agents confirmed Montemere's identity Tuesday. When confronted, he confessed, says the school spokesman. He was arrested and charged with failure to identify himself to a police officer, but he posted a $500 bond. If convicted of the misdemeanor, he could face a maximum of 6 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. His mother said she had not seen her son in about 2 years. She said basketball was important to him. I guess he didn't want me in his life at all. I always pray to wish him the best. Talked to a 30-year-old cousin of his from Fort Lauderdale who was baffled. At 22 years old, if you're good, they still take you into NBA or wherever you want to go. So why did he try to be something else to change his age? What happened? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. This is crazy. Going on, he goes about how he gets a fake ID, claims to be 15, turning 16, and basically pulled the wool over the school administration's eyes, his classmates and teammates' eyes, and the coach's eyes. Went on to play basketball, and he averaged over 20 points a game the last 9 games of the season. And actually, but I mean, he was 22 years old, so like it or not, if he was athletic, he was considerably more advanced than the young teenagers that he was playing with. Strange story there for this young man. I'm not sure what he was thinking. And now the school will more than likely, like we said, they'll have to forfeit their season. And I don't believe they did anything bad. So a lot of people know that jobs are outsourced to India. It's no secret. Quite a few. Most of those jobs seem to be IT. I work in the IT industry. I have quite a few friends that work in the IT industry. My wife does as well. And we're very familiar with the outsourcing that is done in India. And my company, I won't name right now, but it's one of the largest banks in America, actually has a presence, an IT presence in Hyderabad, India, which is where this story is from. That's why it kind of caught my eye. Being behind bars won't keep a group of Indian prisoners from joining the global workforce. Convicts in a southern India prison will soon join the nation's outsourcing boom at a data processing center being set up by an information technology company that works with dozens of businesses around the world. Working conditions for the inmates in this jail in India's technology hub of Hyderabad will be somewhat different from usual offices. There will be no phones and very limited internet access for the convicts who are in prison for crimes ranging from petty theft to murder and rape. There will be no security hazard involved, says the director of the company, that will set up the jail in about 4 months, the jail office. The prison data processing center will be the first of its kind in the country. The center will employ about 250 of the jail's more educated prisoners. The prisoners will earn 5,000 rupees a month, that's equivalent to $110 US dollars, up from the roughly 450 rupees, that's $10, they were earning making textiles or carpentry. Regular starting salaries at data centers are generally about 3 times what the prisoners will make. Once they become experienced in this work and go out after completing their sentence, a whole new world of opportunity will wait for them. That's, I guess, kind of a cool story that they're trying to, rehabilitate and get these people ready for once they are released. Just not sure how I feel about, first of all, I mean, the people that are earning 3 times this, that means they earn $330 a month is the usual going rate. I guess I can see why these jobs are outsourced to India, because I don't think you could get anybody with any kind of IT skill working for $330 a month here in the United States of America, even if they were just out of school. I don't even think you could live in today's day and age on that much money. But I don't know how I feel about hardcore prisoners, rapists, and murderers. Not that I don't think that they would be mentally capable of doing the job if they were educated. I'm just not sure I would feel about them actually providing IT support to people if they're murderers and rapists. I'm not feeling too comfortable with that, me personally, but hey, odd story. So the FDA has a new warning. They want us to stop drinking our lotion. Here's a warning you probably thought you would never need. The Federal Food and Drug Administration is urging consumers not to swallow Benadryl extra-strength itch-stopping gel after receiving reports of people chugging the lotion that's meant to be only used on the skin. At least 121 people have reported gulping the gel, which they confused with other over-the-counter Benadryl products that are actually intended to be swallowed between 2001 and 2009. FDA officials said they have received reports of serious side effects from drinking in large amounts the active ingredient in the gel, which cause numb lips, unconsciousness, hallucinations, and confusion. One man reported that he simply grabbed the wrong medicine from the kitchen cabinet where he stored the cough medicine. One small swig, and he knew he had made a big mistake. He threw it up, and his lips were numb for 2 hours. Gosh, I probably shouldn't make any comment here, but I'm going to. Anybody can make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. That's certainly something that I would never argue, and I've made plenty of mistakes. But I'm really not sure that a warning, a written warning, is going to help here. I mean, and hear me out. If they were not capable of reading or chose not to read the bottle, which clearly would say that it's for skin use only and it's for external use only, it's an itching gel to stop itching, what makes us think that they're going to take the extra effort to read an FDA warning on there telling them again this is for skin use only and not to drink it? So I'm not sure that FDA warning is really going to be of any purpose, because the people are either illiterate or too stubborn to take the 4 seconds it would take to read the label on the bottle to know whether or not it was for internal or external use. So kind of some weird stuff going on there, but so be it. I don't know if you guys have seen about this ginormous, oarfish that's been found off the coast of Stockholm, off the coast of Sweden. The guy that found it, first he thought it was a piece of plastic floating near the shoreline. When he got closer, 73-year-old Kurt Ove Eriksson realized the 12-foot serpent-like object was a rare creature from the depths of the ocean. Marine biologists later determined Eriksson had found a giant oarfish, the world's largest bony fish, last seen in Swedish waters about 130 years ago. It was very long and shiny, Eriksson told the Associated Press on Wednesday. It also had whiskers, though it looked like they had been broken off, and a strange light pink dorsal fin. A retired engineer and avid fisherman, Eriksson made the unusual discovery Saturday on his way to his boathouse off of Sweden's west coast. I've been fishing around here since 1957, and I've never seen anything like it, but I've seen enough fish to know that it was a deep water fish. Eriksson handed over the dead fish to the House of the Sea, an aquarium in the nearby town of Lyskil, where marine expert Roger Jansen said it kept pending a decision on what to do with it. Jansen said the giant oarfish can grow up to 36 feet and is believed to live in deep waters. He said the last recorded discovery in Sweden was in 1879. Sightings of the fish are believed to have been inspired tales of sea serpents. So, I mean, they get up to 30 feet. That's huge. And if you see the picture of it here, this particular one is 12 feet long. And I can see why they call it an oarfish, because it basically looks like a 12-foot long oar. It's just really odd that the last one that was actually recorded was in 1879, and this guy's finding one now. So that's quite a long time, have not seen this deep water fish. What more weird news do we have going on here? So I think actually this is a follow-up to a story that we've had previously on here about the dwarf kingdom over in China. So it actually is a little bit of a follow-up on that story. We ran actually with twice. Mickey has one, Dolly Parton has one, even the Budweiser Clydesdale have theirs, so it should come as no surprise that Jesus has a theme park. The Holy Land experience may be in Orlando, but Disney World is not. It's not. Thousands of visitors come to witness the reenactments of the Passion of Christ, the Last Supper, the Virgin Birth, all set to music. Then they go on and see. That's one. But then they go on to touch on the one here in China that we talked about. It's called Dwarf Empire. It's in Kunming, China. Is almost entirely staffed by people less than 4 feet tall. These are people that they reenact the plays. They do comedy routines. They do ballet. They do gymnastics. All manner of things. And a lot of people some humanitarian organizations were all up in arms about it, fussing, saying it was, degrading to them. And basically every single one of the dwarfs employed by this park said, you know what, we're totally cool with it. This guy is very professional. He's kind to us. He's never mean. And the fact of the matter is they're making more money working at this theme park than they could if they were working at their previous and other jobs. Let's see here. If you've gone to all the other theme parks and you think you've seen it all and you haven't, Asia has the fastest theme park market with 77.6 million visitors for Asia's top 15 parks alone. 2009 blockbuster debut of the Dwarf Empire, a hilltop park in southern China devoted to and almost entirely staffed by people under 4 feet tall. The park also gained worldwide media coverage for employing many of the country's height-challenged who traditionally have had a hard time finding work. Thanks to the park, many of China's dwarves are now gainfully employed as everything from janitors to crown-wearing empresses. Thrill-seeking families might prefer a rendezvous down under with some of the planet's most majestic and ferocious creatures, crocodiles. At Crocosaurus Cove in Darwin, Australia, parkgoers can see the reptiles up close in the cage of death or choose to tease and taunt baby crocs the old-fashioned way with bait. So forget roller coasters, magic castles, and fuzzy rodents and tour our list of the world's strangest theme parks. It's a different kind of small world after all. Someone trying to be witty at the end of their story. And here's it's another one of these strange, this collaboration of strange things. The world's strangest vending machines. This is really weird. You can get a soda from one, a candy bar from another one, and then a fresh baked pizza from scratch. What? If you find yourself in Milan's Malpensa airport or a few other places around Italy, you can watch as your dough is kneaded, your desired toppings doled out, and your pizza bakes all in just under 3 minutes. But if you're hoping to watch a real Italian pie guy work his magic, you'll have to go somewhere else. It's made entirely in the vending machine. That sounds pretty crazy. Well, we're out of time. With that, I'm just going to say, hey, if you're in Italy and you're in the airport, and you're feeling a little hungry for some pizza, you might want to go over and check out your vending machine options because in Dubai you can buy gold bars, actual gold bars or gold coins imprinted with. And in Italy, now you can buy pizza from the vending machine. So, hey, thanks for listening to me. Hopefully, Eric will be back next week, so you'll get the full Incoherent Ramblings of C&E. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks. Bye.
This has been Blog Talk Radio's The Incoherent Ramblings of C&E. Christopher and Eric are your hosts, and we would like to thank you for listening to our show today. Don't forget to tune in for next week's show, live from Greensboro, North Carolina, as we are every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time.